Beautiful and historic downtown Gloucester. We are at the edge of the Harriet Webster Pier, right before Maritime Gloucester, enjoying the 38th Gloucester Schooner Festival. I am your host for Cape Ann today, Kory Curcuru, alongside, as always, Heather Atwood.
Hi, Kory.
How you doing, Heather?
I'm great. It's such a gorgeous day here.
We lucked out again, huh?
Yeah, was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, 3 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, maybe 3, right. Anyway, it's beautiful here, and we know the schooners are out there, and we have some wonderful guests who are going to tell us all about this festival.
Yeah, we're going to get everything, the A to Z on everything Schooner Festival. So we're super excited to get the show going for you. Right off the bat, let's introduce our first guest. You're familiar with, with one of them. Daisy Nell is the chair of the Gloucester Schooner Festival, and Mike Costello is one of the founders of Gloucester Schooner Festival, and they're joining us this morning. How are you both?
Fine. Well, actually, Mike was the original chair. I was the original pain in the neck.
So I have a question right off the bat, because the last time we talked to you, Daisy, you said when there are 2 boats in the water, there's a race.
Of course.
I love that line. So I think there was a race last night, starting off the whole event.
There was. Everybody who was in the Schooner Challenge last night wondered if it was actually a race, because the Schooner Challenge is sort of a race to nowhere, but everybody goes, everybody has fun, and it's a chance for some of the local schooners and some of the visiting schooners to get a little bit out of their system, go out there and drop an anchor out by the greasy pole, and then have fun going around a couple of buoys.
Yeah.
But it's just clean dumb fun.
Was there a winner?
Everybody who was in it said they were the winner. So it's like that.
That's nice, yeah.
So for folks on the outside looking in, Daisy, what is Gloucester Schooner Festival and how did it come about? And then Michael will ask you a bit about the backstory and how what the components go into putting this all together.
Well, the Gloucester Schooner Festival is an annual gathering of schooners. That's boats with a schooner rig. You have Adventure right here in the background. You can see 2 masts. Most of the schooners here are 2-masted schooners. They did make them with more masts, but just to be concise, a schooner has 2 masts, and the fishing schooner is the icon of Gloucester. You see it all over on pieces of paper and on the top of City Hall and everywhere you can think of, because fishing under sail was usually done by a schooner rig. A lot of them were built in my hometown of Essex. And so the Schooner Festival is a way to commemorate the fishing schooners of old. In the 1920s and 30s, the fishing schooners raced against each other, not just to race each other back to port here in Gloucester, which they did because they wanted to be the first one back in. The one with the fastest boat gets the best price for the fish. So when they were racing against each other back to port, a friendly competition, they always were careful to point out, just a friendly competition. Well, pretty soon boats started being built to be a little less friendly competition, and they were bringing in at that point yacht designers who were helping them be just a little faster, but they were still fast and able, as the old historians would call them, to be able to catch fish and then bring them back safely but quickly. And it wasn't long before there was a little competition between Nova Scotia and Lunenburg, in particular Nova Scotia and Gloucester. So when those boats stopped racing around 1938, things were changing. But in 1985, there was the beginnings of some noises about let's have some schooners in Gloucester that charter. I happen to be one of them, on a schooner called Morning Star. And a race occurred that year between the American Schooner Association schooners that belonged to that association and Nova Scotia Schooner Association. They came here. Other boats, other schooners gathered here. We had a race. We had on my boat, Morning Star, we had an artist on board who drew an oil painting that afternoon of the winning boat.
That's impressive.
It
was very impressive.
That's a race too.
Yes, that was. He was very willing, and he painted a portrait of the schooner Fortune, which was from Nova Scotia. And the following year, Mike, you should check in right now and talk about how excited you were to have this happen again when you were the director of the Chamber of Commerce. But
well, it was sort of serendipitous that the thing started. I mean, it just out of the blue. The mayor at the time, Dick Silva, got a request from the American Schooner Association. Would we host their rendezvous, which they did, I think, about every 3 or 4 years. And Dick called me and said, would you be willing to put it together? And I said, that's fine, sure. and it was in June, and the response was absolutely fantastic. And these were primarily little guys, but it evoked such emotion and such feeling that we got a small committee together, and people said, well, why don't we put our own festival together, but not in June. Let's do it on the Labor Day weekend, because I've forgotten which schooner it was. It may have been Pilot.
Pilot was here, yeah.
And they were available on the Labor Day weekend. So I said, okay, we'll do it on the Labor Day weekend, and the rest is history.
What was happening with these schooners between the years of 1938 and 1985?
Well, a lot of them had been continuing, not adventure fished until 1953. So some of them had given up fishing. Some of them had been turned into passenger schooners, such as the ones that were working out of Camden, Maine. Jim Sharp, for example, and others had schooners there that were taking passengers out. They called them windjammers, which was a great name for boats that were only using the wind. But there were others that had started to pay attention to the interest in what we now call tall ships around the bicentennial in 1976. And at that point there was the famous tall ship parade in New York Harbor. And from then a lot of these vessels turned into school sailing ships where they had educational programs, some short-term, but some much longer, like a semester at sea. And there were programs such as SEA down in, out of Woods Hole that took kids out. The Regina Maris took kids out. They were based here in Gloucester for a whole semester with the 5 colleges in Massachusetts that were part of that program. So they were busy remembering and finding people who remembered how to do the work on these ships. A lot of them had moved on or died, and so this was being rejuvenated. And it wasn't long before there were plenty of programs out there for kids who wanted to go to sea, or their parents wanted them to go to sea, and keep track of these old vessels. Some of them now are in 100 years old or more. Adventure is almost 100 years old. The schooner Roseway, who's here this weekend, built in 1925. It's not long before these vessels are all going to be very senior citizens.
Right. So Mike, 38 years now, the festival's been running. How has it evolved over the better part of 4 decades?
There have been some changes. In the early years, I don't know if you remember, we had 2 days of racing, Saturday and Sunday. And the big boats were on Sunday, but on Saturday we had all those other various classes that I can't even tell you. What were they?
Well, as soon as the Friendship Sloop Society heard we were having a schooner festival, they said, you can't have a schooner festival without Friendship Sloops. And Mike, bless his heart, thought, that sounds like a really good idea. What could possibly be the difference between a sloop and a schooner?
So my question exactly.
Well, it has to do with...
I'm not answering that question.
It has to do with masts. The sloop only has 1 mast.
Okay.
And but you know, they are the traditional, beautiful boats, and they had their own society at that point. So you didn't just invite one; the whole fleet came. And the catboat people said, "Well, you can't have Friendship Sloops here without catboats." And Mike was a goner. He said, "Okay, I guess you have to come if they're coming." And then the next thing you know, the PHRF boats said, "We need to come." So that turned into a 2-day affair. And Sunday was reserved, though, for the schooners.
There she is.
There goes.
Yeah.
That's a schooner adventure getting ready to launch.
Yeah, there she blows.
Yep.
So that's really how it evolved into a bigger event. And we really tried over that first period of time to make sure that the festival could be brought from the waterfront up to Main Street, because we wanted people who were not on the waterfront or knew about this kind of a vessel to start connecting with their own history here in Gloucester. There's so much cultural history, and fishermen families who are lost at sea, who have family members who fished on these vessels, to have a chance to be part of the celebration. So we brought more and more of it into the mainstream, and we really were working hard in raising the funds to do this, to make sure that there was something for the whole community and not something that was just for people on the water. And what I used to say was guys standing around talking about their boats. It was important that people understood that this was a community event. And now you can see with what goes on here today with Maritime Heritage Day and the lighted boat parade and all the things that we do, It's a far cry from the first year when we had a so-called parade. It went, boats went past the Coast Guard station and waved. And that was it.
Yeah, and we do want to point out to the importance of Maritime Gloucester's involvement with this event. And the Schooner Festival Committee, you raise all the funds for this event, and it's not like and the vessels aren't getting paid.
No, we don't pay them to come,
Right.
But we give them a good time. They have a chance to game with each other, and it's a nice community of friendship that's renewed every year. Sometimes new people come, people who we can't wait to embrace, or new owners for an older schooner. And it's a really wonderful thing for people to share at the boat level, at the community level. People tell me all year how this is their favorite weekend.
Wow.
They can't wait for Labor Day, which usually with the summer people don't want Labor Day to come.
Right.
Because it means summer curtain is drawing, and it's time to move on to pumpkin spice coffee.
Yeah.
From my perspective at the chamber, it was perfect because we were at that point really trying to come up with ideas on how to extend the season. And so to have something on the Labor Day weekend, which when I first got to Gloucester, it was like there's no business on Labor Day weekend. Restaurants didn't open all that often. Inns were not full. It was mainly getting the kids back to school, and people had other things to do. Now it's probably the biggest weekend of the entire year. It's evolved into one of the major events.
Yeah, it's beautiful how it couches the summertime season between St. Peter's Fiesta and the Gloucester Schooner Festival. It's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so for those, once again...
Can we hear some highlights of ships?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. So just tell us, you don't have to go through the whole list, but what are some of the schooners that people should be looking for and saying, oh, Daisy and Mike mentioned that one, that's a beauty?
Well, we have the oldest in the Roseway, the schooner Roseway. The newest is built in 2014. That's a replica of the Essex-built schooner Columbia, and so that it spans that, and not to mention the fact that is coming all the way from Panama City, Florida, to be part of this celebration. And they are what we say drop dead gorgeous. But so is the oldest schooners in the fleet, Adventure, Roseway, the schooner Malabar 2. Which is here in the harbor now. They came one day early, and it's terrific. They're going to be 100. They are 100 today.
Really?
Yeah, that's an Alden
cheers.
schooner. And if you ever want to rent a good movie on a winter night, rent Message in a Bottle. It stars the schooner Malabar 2, an Alden schooner.
And then there's the American Eagle, which is a transformed Gloucester fishing vessel. It was a trawler and got converted into a schooner from Maine. And I think they have been here almost every year.
Yeah, they have a new owner
The
now.
longest record.
The owner is a Gloucester guy who grew up here. His family owns what used to be Montgomery's boatyard. And Tyler King now is the owner after years and years of John Foss. In fact, John Foss will be on board American Eagle this year because this is such a great weekend for him and his guests. So that was originally the Andrew and Rosalie. You can see a mural on the side of the bank. A great vessel, a great perennial winner.
Yes.
And When and If is coming. That's the schooner that was built for General George Patton. When and If I come home from the war. And,
amazing.
There are plenty of people who come to the Boulevard every year and ask us, or tell us, they knew this person, they knew that person. My grandfather was on board the Tebow, and you're not pronouncing it right. It's not Tebow, it's Tybo. That's the most often made comment about how to pronounce the Tebow and where's the bathroom.
But in answer to your question, the vessels that really stand out, not to diminish Daisy's boat, which is a teeny little thing.
Oh, wow.
Not to diminish.
The big schooners are the
44
vessels
feet.
that people really look for.
Oh yeah.
They're 4 or 5 or 6 really
The Columbia. Yeah.
90 to
Roseway.
125 feet vessels. Those are the ones that dominate the
Oh, the
landscape.
Frissa is a brigantine. She's here coming up from Fairhaven, Northeast Maritime Consortium. They're coming today. Beautiful, square rigged on the main, on the foremast, and gaff rigged on the main. If you're taking notes, she's white. She's all white and white sails. A real standout. She'll be over here at I4C2. I try to tell people where they're going to put their boat, and I tell them to go to I4C2. They think I'm saying R2D2.
Exactly, yeah.
But anyway, that's a real standout. She's absolutely gorgeous. There are others. There's a schooner called Narwhal who's coming, which is I mean, just breathtaking when you see these boats. Some of them, when you think of the work that goes into them, you know that we're all crazy, right? Our boat was launched in 1982, and it's taken since then to get the varnish right.
Yeah. Right.
Well, that was my thought too. Is how is the culture of schooners like surviving with just it's older. It's probably people. It's getting more and more specialized because it's distancing itself farther and farther from when it was a working.
The good news is that people like Harold Burnham are still building them.
Yeah.
I mean, the schooners that are in this festival now, Louis H. Story, Isabella, Ardell, Thomas Landon, all built by a guy who's not that much older than my son.
He's coming up sit next, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, so it's a vibrant thing. The point I am always make on the boulevard is that the schooner rig, as a rig, as I was explaining earlier, it's certainly not like a square rigger, which mostly go downwind. This is a 4.5 vessel. It's got a variety of options for sails. It's a fun vessel, and it's still viable because people are still making it. And as a passenger schooner, like the Landon and the Ardell, and soon to be the Sylvina Beale Isabella, which is here on the railways, they'll be out working again, adventure. This is a viable thing. People, in the 80s, people started going out on whale watching boats as the first time they were able to get on board a vessel that wasn't fishing. They could see our harbor, they could see out here to go out to sea. It's a little bit of what that's like, and that's exactly how it is now with schooners. They can see us working these boats with block and tackle. It's all right there. Some of the same exact tools that were used to build Roseway are being used to build boats that Harold Burnham builds today. He's 11th generation, and his son is now building them, so 12 generations.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Okay, Mike, if people want to learn more about Gloucester Schooner Festival, how can they go about doing that?
I guess our website is the #1 place, right?
It is. It's maritimegloucester.org. Look for the bar that says donate. No, look for the bar that says schooners.
Yeah.
And have at it. There's everything you need to know there. This year we really went full tech, and we have our program available by QR code.
Oh.
Yeah, so
High tech.
I know,
Right on Mike's alley.
So painful.
Well, Daisy and Mike Costello, we appreciate your time and your efforts in helping organize the Gloucester Schooner Festival. It's been great chatting with you, and we're looking forward to having a great weekend. So
it would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
look for the live broadcast from the Schooner Parade from Good Morning Gloucester.
beautiful.
Yeah, so don't forget to smile.
There you go. Okay, thanks again.
a lot.
Daisy,
So
I'm sure we'll have you on for our next show, too.
Yeah,
You've been on every show
Whatever
this
we
year
talk
with us.
about, we
Thank
want
you
you
very
there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Okay, guys, thanks.
Daisy Nell and Mike Costello joining us here as we are live from the Ed of Harriet Webster Pier, enjoying the 38th Gloucester Schooner Festival. Heather and I are about to chat with,
Harold Burnham.
yeah,
Yeah. We've been waiting to talk to him for a long time.
I know we have.
Yeah, we have.
So he'll get settled in the seat here. Yeah, we have, it's a who's who of guests today too. So we're really glad you're joining us here today. It is absolutely gorgeous here in Gloucester. It's a beautiful day for sailing and a beautiful weekend as well. So we hope you come on down and enjoy the festival all weekend long. We'll have more on Maritime Heritage Day, which is tomorrow, but this festival lasts right through the weekend. So if you're out and about, make your way to up 128 and come see us. So, hey, Harold, I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time now.
Hi, Harold. I'm Heather. This is Kory.
Yeah, great to see you. All right, Harold Burnham is a master shipwright situated over in Essex, Massachusetts. And as we just heard, he's built
12 generations now.
12 generations.
Your son
now
is the
his family's
12th,
working on,
right?
yeah.
You lost count.
When it comes to the generational thing, the shipbuilding is not, and the maritime traditions here are not inherited. There's certain traits that are inherited, but what it is a big part of the culture of this area. And it's a culture that isn't locked into any one family, but many families share from many different, very diverse community. And so I try not to get into the whole family thing. The Yankee magazine never mentions that I'm a third generation Sicilian. So,
Hey, me too.
But in Gloucester, we have a great mix, and so yes, I'm a 12th generation Burnham, but I'm also a third generation Sicilian American, and I'm equally proud of both.
Yeah,
So,
nice.
Well,
So there's some good cooking in your household too,
well,
or on your ships, on your vessels.
Mary Kay likes butter.
Yeah.
She's Irish, and that's what the Irish love to cook in butter, and I like olive oil. And
There you go.
two of us mix it up a lot. But I will say that Mary Kay is a phenomenal cook.
So we'll have
And
her
I try
on.
to keep up with her, and I actually have learned a little bit about Irish cooking from Mary Kay.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
But,
Well, so Harold, how much does this weekend mean to you?
well, it's something I've participated in since I was in high school, I think, when it started, and I used to come over here in my little Beagle Cat. My parents had the Resolute, which is still at the end of the dock here, and Tom Jarvis has now.
Oh, yeah.
And my family always came to this event as much as we could. I might have missed one or two along the way, but not too many. And it's an amazing thing to see all the vessels out there and see the schooners and the people from here and afar really celebrating our heritage of this area. It's an amazing story, and it's neat to see people celebrating it, and it's neat that this, the traditions of this area are still going. They're ongoing. My shingle's still above the door over in Essex.
Right.
Everyone talks about how there's only X many schooners left, which is goofy. The reality is that there's a bunch of schooners out there, and if somebody wants one, I'll build them another one. And while I'm doing it, I will be teaching as many people from the next generation as I can. And it's amazing that the Essex Shipbuilding Museum, Catherine Montgomery is just doing an amazing job over there. She's worked with me as an apprentice for the last couple of years, and she's capable, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what she does. And there's a whole generation of people that I've known since they were knee high to a grasshopper, and they've grown up on these boats, and they don't know a time when there wasn't schooners being built in my yard. They've never seen that not happen.
Right.
And when I was growing up, Brad Story was building boats in the shops, and Nick Hemian, but a lot of people didn't see that because it was inside. And we built the landing and built it outside. And people could see it. It kind of reminded people of a lot of the heritage that we all share.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Just put it outside and have people see it.
Well, it's not like we put it outside. The boat's too big to fit in a shop.
Oh.
And that's the traditional way. It was kind of going back. A lot of the methods that we use now are the heavy frames and the heavy timber and the trunnels. That's the tradition. That's the way that they were traditionally built. For a few years, that was difficult to do because of the economics of the situation, and people wanting more traditional boats for taking people out and sharing our maritime heritage and traditions allowed us to build them that way, and allowed them to make what was our traditional methods competitive, and make it so that people could make a living on these boats and keep it real and keep it honest.
Yeah. Well, so Harold, we're next to the Ardell. Just to give people who aren't familiar with boat building or don't live anywhere near the water, what goes into the process of building this? Now, how much lumber are we talking about? Or what a time frame?
When somebody asks me about building a boat and they ask the cost, I say it's about a year of my life and the rest of yours. But it's not about the cost. When the 4 of the 5 schooners that I've built are commercial, and when people talk to me about the cost of the boat, the first thing I say is, well, how much can you make with it? And the boats that I've built have supported families, they've paid off mortgages, they've put kids through college, and they've also provided a good summer job for local kids. And unlike some of the larger nonprofit boats that are taking people from all over the country, most of the people that sail on the Ardell are local kids. They make somewhere between 4 and 6 times as much as the nonprofit schooners. And they learn not through study, but through observation of how things work, how to run a boat really efficiently, how to work hard, how to please the customers, how to manage with the people, and they learn how to operate a boat. The Ardell, I bring it into the dock maybe a quarter of the time now. There are very few vessels that a young kid can get on and actually land it at the dock. And we learned that the hard way. We had kids get their license on the boat and still be nervous about sailing it. And the way that we overcome that is when we used to land the boat, we'd say, do you want to bring it in? You can learn a lot. And now we say, you are bringing it in and you will learn a lot. And we've gotten good at saving it. But what we found is that these younger people being forced to handle a 40-ton vessel with 30 or 40 paying passengers on board and do it in front of everybody, they learn quick.
It's impressive, yeah.
And their natural understanding of the world and their senses of the world change. I mean, when you drive a boat, you're not doing math in your head. Everybody says, "Oh, it takes a lot of math to do this." A lot of it is, feel and smell and sight, and it comes down to your 5 senses. You're coming into the dock. You got to be able to sense how much power you got to give it to stop it. And if you're doing it under sail, you got to sense the wind and you got to sense the tide, and you got to know what's happening, or you will mung it up horribly. And my job is to not let them do that, but let them do it just enough so they learn every time. So we really encourage them to do that.
Yeah. So Harold, why do you love what you do so much? Because you can tell how passionate you are about this. So what is it?
Well, I just enjoy life a lot. When I wake up every day, I just feel very like life is a gift, and it's a gift that every person should not take for granted. There's a lot of people in this world that don't have what we have, and in this area we have this incredible heritage and this incredible tradition, and that tradition is important. It's tribal. People want to know where they come from and the people they come from and what they're all about, and we have that here on Cape Ann, and the light here is beautiful, and I just don't want to waste a minute of my life, and I want to pass that passion on to the next generation, and show by example that every day is a beautiful day as long as you're on the right side of the ground, and so I just try to make the most of every minute.
Well, beautifully put. And your work is exquisite, Harold. I mean, we've been admiring it for years, and we're so happy that you spent some time enjoying with us.
We're sitting here looking at the Ardell there and the Isabella there, and the Thomas Lannon's somewhere out there, right?
Going back to traditions, that every little detail on a boat, if you have all these lines, you've got a very curved surface, and the curves have to flow right, or the boards won't bend. They have to, everything has to flow together, and there's a natural way that they have to come together to, the way they sit in the water, but it comes down to the traditions in this area go back to a lot of people working very hard to learn as much as they could and then pass it on to others. And so when you look at the Lannon or the Ardell or the Isabella or the Fame, I was looking at different generations and what technology existed then, studying the paintings of Fitzhenry Lane and the photographs at the Cape Ann Museum and the books, many books by Dana Story and Joe Garland and all the others, and trying to not just do something that was about me, but do it about this whole heritage of this area and how the boats come together. And that's the reason they look good isn't because of me, it's because I studied the people that came before and tried to emulate them. It's just a natural the way that they put things together.
Well,
Could you do do I have time for one more question?
yeah, of course.
A quick description of the 3 schooners that you can see out in Gloucester Harbor on any given summer day: the Adventure, the Lannon, and the Ardell. So what's the difference between those, the basic differences between those 3? It's a pinky.
Well, the largest is that the Ardell and the Lannon are commercial vessels, and they were built by local people who wanted to keep alive the local heritages and traditions, and they were built with real money, real investments by people who had to get a return on that investment. And the way that they're family owned and they're cared for as only an individual who has a lot to lose will care for something. And the Adventure is a non-profit boat, and it's a cool thing, but it's not commercial. And there's not the Adventure spends $500,000 every year to make 50,000, and because it's done with a lot of love, but also by professionals rather than people that own it.
Yeah, right.
Really
The way
interesting.
they're cared for and the way they're operated is much different. And the Adventure really struggles with that because you can't pay for passion. And the Ardell and the Lannon are just run on pure passion, and it shows in every little detail. You look at the paint on the boats. I mean, I
Really
admire
shiny,
Heath and what he's done with that boat, and he has set the bar so high, he and Tom, with the Lannon, and we are working as hard as we can to try and make our boats shine like the Lannon, and it's that passion and also the desire to really make it look that good for our customers that makes the Ardell and the Lannon really stand out. And anywhere we go in the Lannon or the Ardell, usually those boats are the best maintained boats in the harbor. And that's something that Gloucester has always carried with it. I mean, her schooners were beautiful and well maintained, and you look at the boats historically that were making the most money, they were also the best maintained. And so
That's a great
yeah.
point.
Yeah, well
Yeah.
said. So, Harold, if people want to learn more about Burnham Boat Building and Design, how can they go about doing that? Or do you not want to be bothered
Oh,
right now?
the Mass Cultural Council made a fabulous video that's on the Mass Cultural Council website called Harold Burnham Master Shipwright, and they highlight, what we're doing, and also, with the Savannah Beal and what we're doing with that, which is Gloucester's oldest fishing schooner,
Right.
and fastest. And we're looking forward to getting her rebuilt. Probably be a couple of years. We're taking our time with her. We're enjoying it, but when we finish her, it'll also be quite enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, Harold,
As
enjoy
well.
the weekend, right? Every day is a gift, just like you said, and we really appreciate your time today, and we admire your work. It's been great to chat with you for a little bit. We'd love to have you back someday.
Well, thanks.
So
Yep.
have
so
a great
much.
weekend. Harold
Okay.
Burnham, folks, master shipwright and boat builder.
And sailmaker. You left that off. And he was also named a National Historic Fellow, National Heritage Fellow by the National Endowment for the Arts.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Phenomenal. That was great. Okay, so Heath Ellis, he is the captain of the schooner Thomas E. Lannon, and he's back with us.
Well,
Another appearance. How you doing,
Another
Heath?
appearance, doing good.
Good to see you, man.
Nice
Good
to
to
see
see you
you.
guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're back once again, right? So how does your weekend unfold now? What sort of duties do you have to?
We have a pretty busy weekend in store. We have a couple trips tonight, and then we have 6 trips tomorrow, fireworks, scooter race on Sunday, and then we're actually going to participate in a scooter race from here to P-Town on Monday.
Oh, wow.
Haven't done that since COVID, so 2019 we did that.
Oh, no
Yeah.
kidding.
So that'll be a lot of fun. That's just with my staff and family, and I'm just going to shoot down there for a couple of days. after.
Yeah. So now, Heath, for people outside the area tuning in for the first time and don't know anything about the landing, can you just sort of explain the history behind, the family history here?
So my family and I and Harold built the landing in 1997. My dad had an idea for a long time about building a schooner and keeping that history of Gloucester alive. And so the landing is taken from the design of a 1903 Gloucester sword fishing schooner. We named it after my great-grandfather, who was a Gloucester fisherman from 1901 to 1943.
Oh, wow.
And so it's a passenger fisherman style schooner is what Harold likes to call them. It's a beautiful boat, impeccable, great to sail, a lot of fun, fast, and yeah, we're looking forward to a nice breezy race, I hope.
Yeah, I love it.
Did you hear all those wonderful things that Harold was saying about the landing, and particularly the paint job?
Yeah. We like to set the standard on how it's maintained. And,
yeah.
You know.
He said he's definitely aspires with the Ardell, so your paint job. So what's the secret there?
The secret there is follow the instructions of the paint can.
Well, we do want to point out with the schooners.
We use Pettit paint, and it's phenomenal, and it's it's all in the prep work. It takes us a month to get the boat ready every year. We paint every inch of everything every year.
Yeah.
Under the water, above tides, everything. So.
And is it sitting over there in Essex when you do? Can you get
Nope.
it down the river?
We can't go back down the river. No.
Yeah.
We can't go through the Annisquam either. We're too high for the Apine Andrew Bridge. So we could get under the bridge at low tide, but we'd hit the bottom. So we can't go through the river.
Yeah.
And we definitely can't go back up the Essex. The Ardell draws a couple feet less than us, so Harold's brought that back in the river a few times. We draw 9 feet, so we winter right at our dock at the Gloucester House restaurant. We'll take our rigging down and shrink wrap it, and she'll sit there from basically November 1st to April 1st, and then we start getting ready again. So.
Yeah, and what's amazing is if you're coming in from out of town or if you're a local, you haven't been, you can go on the schooners here and enjoy. What are some of the things the landing does, like inner harbor cruises? Like, what do you offer to folks coming into Gloucester?
We offer a unique way of seeing, Gloucester's inner and outer harbor. We generally try and get outside the breakwater for a little bit. Depends on how much wind and what the wind direction is. But you'll see beautiful estates. You'll see lighthouses and castles and the fishing boats. And we offer a number of other trips too. So we do music sales,
weddings.
Weddings.
You were married
on
on
weddings. We marry a lot of people. Yeah, we have 11 weddings this summer.
Yeah, what a beautiful way.
I think I'm doing all but 2 of them.
Wow.
So I moonlight as a reverend to be able to perform the weddings to these.
I think probably
couples,
a lot of ship captains did that.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
I mean, the old rules you used to be able to do it. With the new, just being a captain, you could do it.
Yeah.
But now it's a lot different with the state
No
regs.
kidding,
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
We're just trying to keep that market, that reverend market.
Yeah. So why is this weekend so to you and your family?
This weekend is just a great gathering of people in the industry, of people in the private. They own their schooner, just sail and get together. So it's kind of a good mesh of all the industries. On profit boats, there's for-profit boats, and then there's private boats. So getting all those people together and having some fun, and then going out for a race is a good time.
Yeah.
So do you all know each other from different schooner events, or just from the schooner industry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely is a pretty tight community, so you definitely get to meet everybody.
Yeah, and your whole family is involved with the land, right?
My parents built it. I don't. My brother, he helps me with some business ideas and back ends and stuff like that. I'll run by him, but he's not involved anymore. So I've had a number of cousins working for me. There'll be a bunch of cousins on the boat for the schooner race that have all crewed for me in the past, but currently my daughter's 5, so she hasn't taken over yet.
Soon enough.
We'll see.
Isabella? Is that her
Isabella,
name?
yeah.
But what are you looking forward to most this weekend?
Just sailing with all the boats. It's a lot of fun. Just sailing around with the Ardell all summer long is a lot of fun. We get to jockey and
love
tack
to
back and
see you
forth
guys
with each
going
other.
back and forth.
So it's nice to be able to do that with more boats. The Tyrone is here. We have a lot of fun sailing with them. They're similar size to us. Just having more sails out in the harbor and tacking around with them. The parade of sail is this chaotic swirl of just sailboats everywhere.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
really
a
cool.
lot of fun, and sometimes a little scary, but a lot of fun.
It looks scary as an from the shore. It looks a little scary.
Yeah.
But the weather should be beautiful. I mean, there's a breeze, right?
This summer has been beautiful summer for sailing.
Yeah.
You know, sailors love a drought, is what we keep saying. It's not good for the grass and the fire hazards and stuff like that. But it's a beautiful weekend. Last year it rained on the day of the race, so this year it's looking maybe late tomorrow night. It might rain a little bit. Yeah, we're ready.
Yeah.
That's great.
What do you tell folks who haven't been down here before for a schooner festival? What, you got any words for them?
I would say come down and check out Maritime Gloucester, and Maritime Heritage Day tomorrow is a huge event. There'll be a lot going on this pier, and then also at our I4C3 or I4C2 right next door is dock tours, and if you want to go for a sail, there's a lot of options to do that. We're running, the Ardell's running, the Tyrone is running, the Alert is running, so there's a lot of ways to get on one of the schooners as well, and that's really the best way to keep them all coming, is if people go out on them, and then they can make some money while they're here, and then they'll keep coming back.
Yeah, and they would do that through your website?
Yep,
Book a trip?
it's schooner.org. Real easy, couple clicks, and you can come sail.
Great.
Any plugs for the Instagram account or anything? You want to?
Yeah, follow us on Schoonerland on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We don't do Twitter or any of that stuff yet. But yeah.
And the Seagull.
We also have a seagull, Paulie Five Toes. He has his own Instagram account as well, Paulie Five Toes. He's featured in a book, The Seagull and the Sea Captain, this year, which has been a big success. We did a couple book readings. The kids love that book, so it's been a lot of fun.
He's kind of old right now, right?
9 years at least.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
and he's still with you.
He's still around,
Still scavenging.
Yeah.
Loves his oyster crackers. So. As long as I keep feeding him, he'll keep coming.
Yeah,
that's funny, man.
great.
Hey, Heath, thanks for your time, bud. Have a great weekend. We appreciate you being here with us, and it's good catching up. And you got to get out on the landing, folks. It's an awesome
beautiful.
time out there. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Great job.
Thanks
for
so
everything.
much.
Enjoy the weekend.
Yeah,
Take
enjoy.
care.
Take care, man.
Happy sailing.
Yeah, Heath Ellis, the captain of the Schooner Thomas E. Lannon. I've been on that a bunch of times. It is a fabulous time out there. Inner Harbor.
I've never been on the Lannon, but
really?
I've seen it.
Great.
I've seen it like just skimming across the water in Gloucester Harbor so many times. It's so beautiful. But I'm going to go.
You are?
I am.
Have you done the Ardell before, or the Adventure?
I've done the Adventure many times.
Yeah.
So I have to branch out to my schooner awareness.
All right, next up.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm Kory, nice to meet you.
Kelly. Very good
It's
to
great to meet you.
Kelly, thank you for being here.
Of course.
We met inside.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So, Kelly Opress, thanks for being with us. You were part of Maritime Gloucester and
Yes.
and Maritime Heritage Day, which is a great event beginning tomorrow.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All day Saturday, right?
All day Saturday, so it runs 10 to 4 on Saturday.
Yeah.
And Heritage Day is really the bulk of our shoreside programming. So we love people getting out on the boats. Lots of the schooners have day sails available, and there's the race. But this is it's a very family-friendly event. There's lots of stuff happening on land. It's happening over 3 sites across Gloucester. So should I do a little overview?
Please do,
yes.
Yeah, so the bulk of the programming is here on our campus, but then we also have the schooner docks over next to the Gloucester House in the building center over there.
Yeah.
There's docks that we put in especially, and you can get down on the docks, see there's going to be 5 or 6 schooners down there. Some of them are allowing you on the boats. You'll be at eye level. You get to see these beautiful vessels. Plus there'll be a few vendors over there. Here we have a lot of community organizations. We're going to have the 1812 Marine Corps from the U.S. Constitution. They're going to be basically right where we are now doing marching and firing drills with their rifles. We're going to have a lot of heritage demonstrations like riveting and net mending and lathe and blacksmithing. I'm sure I'm missing things.
Oar making, maybe?
Oh yeah,
There's
oar
a pirate?
making. The
Yep.
Schooner Adventure is gonna, when they come back from their morning sail after 12, they're gonna be doing oar making right on the other side of the dock here.
wow.
So that's gonna be great. And then we have the Schooner Roseway that's right behind us. And they're over at Ocean Alliance, and they're going to be open for deck tours. They run the World Ocean School, and there's going to be an art display over there and a few other things with Ocean Alliance. So
you have to go through Rocky Neck to get over there?
you
to
can
start?
either drive over there, but also right from the Coast Guard behind us, the Cape Ann Harbor Tours is going to be
Harbor Tours is
riding
great.
a shuttle. I believe it's $15, and you get to ride all day, so you can go back and forth, hop on, hop off type of thing.
Yeah.
So, and then a couple new things we're doing this year is that we're going to have what we're calling Heritage Galley. So up in the Maritime Gloucester parking lot, it's basically a mobile food court. We're going to have 6 or 7 different food vendors, all kinds of great stuff, and they're going to be there, I think, starting around 11:30, and we'll have lots of really great food. So it's a great thing. Oh, and then I have to mention the kids crafts. There's lots of kid-friendly activities. So there's a little bit of something for everybody. We've got some history-oriented stuff, some demonstrations, but then we've got crafts, we've got a little mini boat making thing that's going to be in the classroom here.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of cool stuff going on.
Yeah, kids' activities and kids' education, that's a vital part of Maritime Gloucester.
Yes, of course. Yeah, it's a big part of our mission is educating everybody, but especially youth.
Yeah, we want to point out, so this is at 23 Harbor Loop is where Maritime Gloucester is at if you're looking to make the trip down
The
to.
home base.
That's it, yeah, home base.
Yes.
So, Kelly, how is it for you to help tie all these things together to organize an event like this? Because there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of components to it.
Yeah, I've been helping out with this. I think my first year kind of organizing this is 2019, and then of course COVID kind of got in the way of some of our events. But it's a lot, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of really great community organizations, most of which that are maritime oriented, and we really want to showcase what everybody has to offer. For the most part, everyone's really friendly. Everybody wants to support everyone else, so it's really neat to have the platform to be able to kind of show off what all these different little niche organizations do, and get kids involved in it, because a lot of people don't have an opportunity to come down here and do some of this stuff until they're brought in by a bigger event like this.
Yeah.
So is this the dress rehearsal for next year?
With the 400.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we'll, if anything, just be getting more organizations and people coming in, because it's going to be a blast, I'm sure. So yeah.
Oh, the weather looks great this weekend.
Yeah, we're really fortunate.
Yeah. So, and 10 to 4 tomorrow?
10 to 4. Oh, and I also want to mention that a bunch of the schooners are doing day trips and shorter sails. I know Ardell in particular off of our docks is doing hour sails, which is shorter than normal for $20, I believe, which is great, especially if you have younger kids, you want to do a shorter sail. But I also want to highlight that we've done a lot of work on the website, and there's a lot of information there. So there's a Heritage Day page that has all the scheduling. Some of the demonstrations are happening over, just an hour or so here, and then there's also a list of all the exhibitors that will be here. And on the schooners page of the Schooner Festival website, there's a star next to all the boats that are offering trips. So
cool.
If you're interested in getting out on a boat, either on Heritage Day or one of the other days this weekend, be sure to check that out.
Yeah. And this is all through maritimegloucester.org.
So you can go to maritimegloucester.org, and big right there is a schooner picture with a details button, or you can go to gloucesterschoonerfestival.com and it'll bring you to the same place.
Gotcha.
So I'm sure if you Google it, if you go to our website, you should be able to find it. We've tried to make it really clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so what are you looking forward to most?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I have to say, the 1812 marching and firing, just because they haven't been here before, is going to be really cool. And I think the food truck court is going to be awesome. I think it's going to be a big draw for people, and it'll allow people to stay here longer because we'll have,
they can get some snacks,
get some good stuff, and then come back down for another demonstration.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's great. Yeah.
Not to look too far ahead, but has there been thoughts about what is going to happen for the 400th next year? The city of Gloucester turns 400 next year. That's why we keep bringing this up.
There are thoughts, but
it's a busy day tomorrow.
We're just trying to get through tomorrow, and then we'll think about we'll think about next year.
We have heard there's sort of whispers of but next year it's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
so,
well, I'm sure it will be.
Yeah, exactly.
And we don't want to discount all the things going on at Maritime Gloucester as well.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And we know, and you talked a little bit about the classroom component too. We can get more into that, but for people who haven't been to Maritime Gloucester, what are they missing?
Oh yeah, there's so much cool stuff going on down here. We had kids programming, pop-up programming all summer. That unfortunately just wrapped up. We do a lot with the local school systems. We work with every Gloucester elementary school kid through 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. They all have 6 points of contact with us over the course of the school year doing marine science education. We have our whole museum, and so there's a lot of stuff going on, and we're really excited. There is a marine science center, so usually our aquarium space, which is very popular, is seasonal, and the science center is going to be a much expanded space. It's going to be year-round, and that will be opening soon. So we're super excited about that. That's going to offer a lot of opportunity to our members to have up close and personal experiences with marine animals year-round instead of just during the summertime.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that there's some expansion going on too, and it's changing some rooms and adding new features there.
Exactly.
So it'll be cool to revisit. Well, actually, we'd love that. We should be doing a show from inside at some point sooner or later.
And we also have our apprentice program that started last year, but it's basically teaching heritage skills and boat handling skills. We're working with Harold with the Schooner Adventure to help kids that are interested in a marine industry career get some experience and some sea time and potentially a license as well. So
that's
a great new program that's more heritage oriented versus we also do the science work.
Yeah. So then, Kelly, okay, so one last time, let's talk about Maritime Heritage Day, just the specifics for folks, and then what the Maritime Gloucester is doing throughout the weekend.
Yes. So Heritage Day is 10 to 4 over 3 locations. Maritime Gloucester 23 Harbor Loop is the biggest one, but we also over at the I4C2 lot next to the building center and across the harbor. Check the website, there's lots of good stuff going on. And then after, that's the bulk of the programming for tomorrow, and then Sunday there's a parade of sail down on the boulevard. If you're not going to be out on a boat and you want to see them, they'll go right by the boulevard. There'll be live commentary. Good Morning Gloucester is going to be doing a live feed, so if you're over at Stage Fort Park watching the boats, you can click on a button on the website and you can hear the commentary live from your phone, which is a new thing this year, so that's pretty exciting. And then of course there's a schooner race. People can go out towards Eastern Point and watch the race. It's a reach race back and forth, basically out off of the coast here. And then it's a wrap. But yeah, if you have your own boat, I encourage you to get out there and take a look at it too. It's really fun.
Well, the harbor's going to be bananas this weekend.
It will, yeah, it will. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Kelly Elpers, thanks so much for your
Thank you
time.
so
It was great
much.
meeting you.
Yeah.
We'd love to continue the conversation inside Maritime Gloucester.
Definitely,
at
let's
some
do that
point.
next time.
Cool. All right, have a
Good
great,
luck.
have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Beautiful.
I know.
Aren't we learning a lot
So-
today?
I am learning so much, and yeah, I'm really excited that we've got some stuff going on across the harbor too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Maritime Gloucester has their satellite over there at the paint factory.
Yeah, it looks great.
Ocean Alliance.
What a day. Folks, we're now joined by Maritime Gloucester historian Justin Dimitri. He makes a return visit to Cape Ann. How you doing, bud?
Not bad. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Thanks for
Very
having
good.
me.
Very good.
So what is your weekend like?
A little busy.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's a fun busy though. I mean, you can't beat the surroundings. Am I right?
I mean, this is
Yeah.
spectacular.
There's a lot worse places to work.
Yeah.
But it's great. You meet people from all over the world, all with a kind of a common interest in not just sailing vessels, but our fishing heritage. And yeah, so it brings a lot of stories out. You meet people you've seen over the years, but you always meet some new people. And of course, we have a lot of people that come to Gloucester this time of year that aren't familiar with the event, and it's a pleasant surprise for them. And then they make plans to come up the next year. So it's a real fun, it's a real fun weekend. So yeah, but it's all hands on deck, as you can imagine.
Right, absolutely.
So, Justin, you are the historian at Maritime Gloucester.
Yes.
So, where did your interest in maritime history come from, and how did that develop first?
Well, like a lot of kids that grew up in my time, I grew up in the fishing industry. I grew up down the fort, just around the corner. And when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, my family still owned an Eastern Rig dragger, the St. Peter. We were, part of that the larger family contingent that helped start the Fiesta back in the 20s. And so that was the boat built by the Vavazes, and then the year afterwards they got the statue. So I was kind of born into it, but I wasn't. I wasn't ever encouraged to become a commercial fisherman. They really didn't really see it in me. They figured I'd be better at getting an education. But you surround all the people in your life. We were surrounded by it. I remember the fish plants down the fort. I used to work at Dooley's Dory. Sweeping the floors, meeting all these people. I was always around the waterfront, and of course, firstborn son in an Italian fishing family. I'm free labor. So my dad had me working at a young age, and so I was absorbed in it. And later, by the time I was 12, 13, that's when I got involved with the schooner adventure. Really, I'm in debt to the Garlands, Joe and Helen, who kind of saw something in me. They saw my background, they saw my interest, and they kind of pushed me in a direction that to encourage me to learn this. This wasn't the big plan, the big life plan, but I'm glad I stuck with it because for all those people that taught me this, both my family and the people I met on adventure and the people I've met over in Essex, a lot of the older people are gone now.
And we just lost Helen Garland.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, when we lose those people, we lose a lot. And so we are at a point now where nobody's around that remembers the Age of Sail. We might remember the stories of the Age of Sail, and a lot of us remember, the Eastern Rig draggers, which are basically the transition between the days of sail and our modern fleet. So with every passing generation, we get further away from what really put Gloucester originally on the map. So it becomes more and more important for us to understand the story and interpret it for visitors and our citizens.
Yeah.
Well, can we do a little bit of that history?
Please, yeah.
So
Sure.
to give us a little bit of a rundown on how the schooner evolved. You just sort of opened up the story of how they started to sort of devolve, but let's cover that.
Yeah, how were they fishing way back
Yeah.
then on these boats?
Oh, good question. Well, for many of us who grew up around here and went to the Gloucester school system, and of course our great old friend Joe Galley used to love to tell the story of, see how she schoons, and there's a lot of great lore about how the schooner was developed here in Gloucester. There's a lot of historical evidence that shows the schooner was not developed in Gloucester. It was actually the rig itself that which defines a schooner, is the sailing rig. That was probably developed in Holland. But by the early 1700s, it arrived on our shores, and there's no question that this town has done more with the concept of a schooner than any place else on earth. So we might not have invented it, but we certainly made it our own. And those early schooners, I assume Daisy probably talked a little bit about the ease of the rig and why it's just a real practical rig for when you're working and sailing. You can handle a pretty big boat with a pretty small crew. And back in the earliest days, the days of salt fish, you're going out to the distant banks for months at a time. All the fish is salted, so it's not necessarily a fast design, but it can hold a lot of cargo, it's seaworthy, and it can get you home. That's how it all began. And as the time goes on, tastes change, species that are targeted change, or more species are included. And then different fishing grounds. So that is part of the reason why things start changing. When we start fishing on George's Bank in the early 1840s, when halibut goes from a trash fish to a prized fish, these are all things that drive the evolution of the schooner's design. When we switch from an entire fleet that preserves its fish in salt to half the fleet preserving in ice, well, that's going to make a big difference as well, because the boats that were designed for salt preservation weren't built for speed. And if you have a bunch of fish on ice, well, you're going to have a faster boat.
Yeah.
So by the late 1840s and into the early 1850s, we start seeing a change in design for some of the fleet. And they go by various names: sharpshooters, clippers, market fishermen. These are boats that are built to fish on George's Bank. And this is where speed becomes the essence of the design.
And just George's Bank is how far off the coast here?
Starts about 80 to 100 miles off our coast,
Okay.
And it ranges down to about a little south of Cape Cod and up to the Nova Scotian waters,
So it's a couple of days trip out there.
depending on if the wind's in your direction.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, right.
So it's a much closer bank than the famous Grand Banks. It was loaded with fish, but the problem is, and I'm sure a lot of our local fishermen can tell you, it's a pretty dangerous place. Crazy tide rips, strong currents, and a very shallow ground. But it was loaded with fish. So once they learned a way to fish on the grounds, this is where where Gloucester becomes the first halibut port in America. And actually, right across from us, where the Coast Guard station is today, that was one of the early halibut wharfs in America. So you're going to need to bring in this fish faster because it's on ice. So you tend to have these designs that are sharper in the bow, and they have longer and straighter runs of keel, and they're shallower than previous designs, and they're carrying a lot of sail. So they're definitely fast, they look great, but in certain times of year, especially the winter, they were prone to capsizing, or in the really big, horrible storms that are well documented, they would crash into each other. An anchor would snap, an anchor cable would snap, and next thing you know, a 70-foot schooner is smashing into the rest of the fleet. So this is why we come from a town that, I haven't actually done the actual numbers, but I've been told for a long time that during the Civil War, Gloucester lost more of its young men fishing than fighting. And that really puts it in perspective. Now, on the other side of things, you have the famous dory tradition. So you didn't use dories on George's Bank in the age of sail. They fished over the rail. But up on the Grand Banks and on the Nova Scotian banks, where the salt fish was still part of the equation, you're going out in two-man rowboats, the other iconic vessel in Gloucester history. And in that situation, you weren't so much losing all all men down in a storm, but you could easily lose fishermen 2 by 2. So a
Howard
bit more.
Blackburn.
Yes,
Right?
he's the most famous example.
So what happens? So these schooners are leaving, but they're leaving with multiple dory boats, which would be maybe like an 18-foot rowboat, essentially, right?
Yeah, and depending on how you measure them, but on the bottom, 13 to 15 foot on the bottom.
And these schooners are anchoring off on the bank somewhere, and then these dories are sort of like pilot boating off of them to fish.
Yeah, at this point, think of the schooner as a mothership, and they're getting this concept from watching the European fishermen, the Portuguese, the Basque, the French fishermen from Breton. They were out there doing this very same thing in similar designed boats. So when you go back to the old records, you actually see in the 1850s and 60s, they're calling this the so-called French style of fishing by using the 2-man dories, and instead of hand lines, you're using long ground trawls of hooks. So they're maximizing their catch, but they're also increasing their risk out at sea as well.
Because they're away from the mothership, as you describe it. Yeah.
So they would nest these dories. I like to think of them as the old styrofoam coffee cups of the fishing industry because back then they were cheap, disposable, and you stacked them up.
But they're heavy.
They're heavy, yeah, about 400 pounds thereabouts. And they were used and abused. You're lucky to get a year out of the thing. And because back then they mass produced them in places like Amesbury at the Lowell's Boat Shop, here in Gloucester as well, and certainly up in the Canadian ports like Shelburne, oftentimes it was more cost effective to buy a new dory than to put any work or money into restoring an old dory.
Just like it is now, right?
I think our friend Gina would argue with that. They cost a couple $1,000s.
I'm just thinking about our disposable, basically, culture. But
oh, sure, yeah. The ratio has changed over the years. But this was a town that took death in stride. It was all for the price of fishing. But in time, like anything, after the Civil War, the price of life, I think this country gets a real eye-opener after seeing all that death in the Civil War. And by the 1870s and 1880s, they've pretty much had enough of losing half their young men out at sea any given winter. So that's where you start seeing improvements in the design. And this is where you start seeing the marriage of seaworthiness and speed. Because you couldn't lose the speed or we're not going to be a viable fishing port. But you have to find a way to get these vessels as seaworthy as the earlier designs, like Harold Burnham's Pinky Ardell and that type. So what you see next are improved designs. And one example of that, again, a Harold Burnham built vessel, is the Thomas E. Lannon. She represents a design called the Fredonia style schooner, which became state-of-the-art by the late 1880s, early 1890s. Much deeper. If you ever see the Lannon hauled out in the wintertime, she has a nice deep keel. She has a beautiful streamlined body. And so that's what something like Gordon Thomas, who really helped people of my age kind of get into the schooners with his book Fast and Able. Well, that's the cliche, fast and able. When you got that, you got the formula down.
So Justin, as the resident historian here at Maritime Gloucester, what can folks expect to come and visit you?
Well, you have different options. For those who want a more casual visit, we have the Gorton's Gallery upstairs where we have ship models and artifacts, some footage running. Of course, we have this wonderful Harriet Webster Pier, and when the boats are in, you can check out Ardell, which is a Pinky. Although she's only 11 years old, her design goes back to the 1840s. We have Adventure on the pier, built in 1926, the last American dory trawler. We have various visitors that come by, and of course we have America's oldest operational marine railway, which is something to behold, and it's currently being used by Harold Burnham to restore Isabella. So you can do all of that just by paying the ticket, on top of our wonderful little aquarium, which really a big hit with the kids especially, but fun for young and old. And for those who are a little more passionate about the fishing story, whether it's the modern story or what we did in the past, I recommend taking one of my guided tours. I tend to offer 2 a day. You can book them online. And I leave no stone unturned for those who are passionate about it. I'll
Now, are
answer
you
every
walking
question.
along the shore? Is that when you're doing?
We do two versions. We do an inside tour where we do the Gorton's Gallery. So we have a nice display up there of half-hull models, which I can go into further depth about what we were just talking about. We have a couple of really nice models up there. We have some artifacts. We also have a mock pilot house of the old Vincienne, which is one of our most beloved former Eastern rig draggers. And the Eastern riggers are close to my heart from my own personal history. So when you're on a tour with me, the story doesn't end with the age of sail. We continue on and bring it up to close to modern times.
Yeah.
Great.
That's fascinating stuff, Justin. It's always good chatting with you. We
Oh,
love
yeah.
learning more and more each time we do this. And we'd love to be inside Maritime Gloucester for a future show.
Love to have you guys down anytime.
Awesome. Have a
you so
great
much.
weekend.
Oh, thank you. You
Don't
too.
work too hard. Try to enjoy some of it.
I'll do my best.
Yeah. All right, thanks, bud.
All
We'll
right,
see you
thank
soon.
you.
Sure.
So Justin Dimitri, he is a historian here at Maritime Gloucester. You can learn more at maritimegloucester.org. Awesome stuff, huh?
It is. Yeah.
It's a fascinating history. Yep. Come around, Teach. Come around.
Right.
Special guest, Heather.
A man in a uniform.
Yeah. We need to legitimize the program here somehow.
exactly.
So, yeah, TJ Shemataro, he is the harbor master for the city of
Hi,
Gloucester.
TJ, nice
How you
to
doing,
see
bud?
you.
Good, how are you?
Good to see you.
How's it going today?
So you're gonna be pretty busy this
Yeah,
weekend.
Busy weekend.
Yeah.
I can't believe you have time to sit in this chair, but we're grateful.
This is like the lull in the
yeah,
storm right
yeah,
now.
Yeah.
right.
No, it's great. It's a great weekend.
So tell us how you manage the whole thing.
You know, it's kind of a little controlled chaos.
Yeah.
Really, not you know, it's not too bad. Really, Maritime Gloucester and the Schooner Festival Committee manage it. We just back them up. You know, of course they do tons of preparation in advance, and we try to accommodate and help them find, moorings or berthing, dockage and stuff like that. But
So are you just on the radio all the time? This weekend?
no, I try. It just depends.
Yeah,
Depends
yeah.
on what's going on.
Yeah.
We're just really here to support. A lot of visitors come into town. All our transients are full. Obviously, there's a lot of schooners here. So it's there's tomorrow. I think there's a dory race. There's a parade of lights. There's fireworks.
Yeah.
There's logistics with that, moorings and people having to move, and security zones and stuff like that. But we work obviously hand in hand with the Coast Guard station next door, and we'll have some other emergency response presence in the area. So it's a big team effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the weather looks spectacular.
Looks
so
good.
what sort of expectations do you have for how many vessels do you think are going to be bobbing in around here this
So
week?
it's an interesting weekend, right? Because you have this big event. This is obviously quite a large event with a bunch of mini events inside of it. Plus, it's Labor Day weekend. It's like the last, before
Taste of
school
summer
really
here,
starts
yeah.
or officially starts. Colleges are back next week. Drops off recreational boating probably 50%, and then the rest of it will dwindle out between now and Columbus Day. So you have all that plus a pretty large marine event. So we have all hands on deck. Everybody's here pretty much every day this weekend, and we'll roll with the punches.
Yeah, right.
But it's not. The committee does a great job. It's very well organized. It's not the first time. What number is this? This is the
38.
38th. So
Yeah.
they've had 37 other tries.
Yeah.
And it's never been an issue. I've been here 6 years. It's always a great time. It's good for the city. It's it's historical. It's in line with the 400th
And who
coming
we
up.
are.
Yeah, and who
Yeah.
we are. So it's really nice. It's
So,
a great event.
provocative question. If there's a crisis, what would it be?
I mean, it could be a variety of things. I guess a collision.
Yeah. So
Would probably
have
be
you
the
ever
worst
seen a
thing.
collision?
It's come close with some people. I was talking to this new commanding officer, Jim Bridges, of the Coast Guard station next door, and I said, Sunday, there's not a now rule to be had out there. So, he's like, no, I know. He was here before as the XO years ago, and but yeah, it's that's kind of the message is everyone just keep their head on a swivel and pay attention to what the guy next to you is doing.
Yeah,
So, but it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Not gonna have any incidents.
So is the majority of your time spent hunkered down at headquarters, or are you actually out on the water?
I float around.
Yeah.
I float around. I fill in. It's kind of overall. Chad Johnson, the deputy harbor master, we kind of split duties.
We call him the assistant to the harbor master.
Yep. So I'll be around. I'll be here. I'll probably be on the boat on Sunday. I'll kind of probably be in the office or around the facility tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow afternoon, and then as needed, I kind of fill in as needed, or have to make decisions as necessary. So.
Yeah. Well, so the summer was crazy, right? Didn't rain in July.
No,
I mean, there was everyone and their mom got a boat through COVID. So how was it for you dealing with all of that?
To be honest with you, during COVID was worse.
Really?
Yeah, I remember
so
that.
it was. It was actually way worse because, you know, I was explaining this to someone the other day. If you have 100 boaters, right, during COVID, all 100 of them are out on their boat. Right now you have those 100 boaters, but 10 of them are at a Red Sox game, 5 of them have weddings, 2 of them are down the Cape, 4 of them are in, right now you have 50 boaters on the water.
Yeah.
Not all 100 all the time. So it was kind of worse, actually, believe it or not. There was nothing else to really do.
Right.
And, you know, we had a lot of new boaters, credit card captains, we call them. Yeah. But,
I just remember a lot of dancing, like boats lined up together, which is a no-no, right?
Well, it was then, you know, with the 5-boat raft up thing and you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, Winger Chic Beach was like Daytona for Sarah's Bananas.
You know, it's funny though, it's like you ride by Winger Chic Beach on a Saturday and there's like 150 boats out there and boats up and down the river, boats everywhere. For the amount of volume to problems, it's relatively, you know, it's not that much.
Yeah, that's good.
Of course there's issues, but like out of sheer numbers, volume, you know, knock on wood, we didn't have anything too crazy this year.
To me, it's like the Rotary. The locals, we know how to navigate a Rotary. Every now and then there's a jabroni that screws something up, but you know.
It's like the boat ramp.
Yeah, we get by. Right.
Sunday afternoon, you could film a 30-minute piece, comedy piece down there.
If someone does,
we have to
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a crazy place we're in for boating. You know, we have the busiest boat ramp in the Commonwealth, Dunfudgeon, believe it or not, for volume.
Yeah.
Located in a very tricky Blenheim Canal area and commercial traffic. So it's never dull.
Yeah, the Blenheim Canal alone is just its own show.
It's its own show.
Yeah.
Well, the kid on Instagram, Cupbridge.
Right.
Cupbridge kid there. He's got
Exactly.
40,000 people following that now, you know.
There's always new content.
I always find it interesting. Wow, another one.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, never. You know, it's a tricky spot. It's funnels down. We got, you know, huge tides here. People aren't really used to, and
a bridge that goes up and down.
You got a big astronomical high or low. You got 5 to 7 knots of current coming through there. So
it's tricky.
It's tricky.
Yeah.
It's a tricky spot.
Yeah.
I just look on there sometimes like, oh, I hope none of my guys are on there this weekend, you know. So, and there never are because they're professionals, but you know, even the most seasoned guy can have an issue going through the bridge.
Right.
So.
Yep. So TJ, you always seem so enthusiastic when you're with us. So tell me, like, where does your passion for your occupation come from? Have you always sort of been tied to the water and grew up out here?
Yes, I'm originally from Gloucester. Moved away up to Maine with my parents when I was younger, but always came back in the summertime. My whole family's from Gloucester. My parents still live in Maine now. So
you're a Shimataro.
I'm a Shimataro, yep. So I've always been drawn to the water. I think it's just in my blood. Went in the Coast Guard right out of high school, did 11 years active duty, still in the reserves now. Just hit my 16th year total, actually.
Thank you.
So I've always, it's just been a part of me. It's where I want to be. I couldn't work in an office from 9 to 5. I couldn't.
Unless this is your office.
This is my office,
yeah.
But it's always different, you know. I come in on Monday and like I don't, you know, I have obviously planned events throughout the week and meetings and so on and so forth, but things are always changing, right? 1 minute, you know, we're sitting there about to have lunch and there's an emergency call and we're assisting the Coast Guard with something, or there's this, you know, oil spill or whatever the case may be. So it's always changing environment. So it's kind of what I'm used to anyways.
Right.
Being in the service for so long, so it's kind of just a good transitional fit for me.
Well, I imagine we're going to have a big bump in population this weekend too.
Yeah,
so folks coming in from out of town. Do you want to meet? Do they want to meet TJ Shimataro or not this weekend?
You want to meet me on the dock at like a nice like event, like the mayor's event.
At a food truck.
At a food truck tomorrow.
Yeah.
You want to meet me at a food truck tomorrow.
Yeah, let's just call it that.
Yeah. But we're here to help. EHF Channel 14 is our working channel. So if you need something, call us.
Beautiful.
All right.
Hey, Teach, thanks for stopping by.
You
Man.
got
Have a
it.
great weekend.
All right.
Appreciate your work, bud. We'll see you soon.
Enjoy the food trucks.
Yeah. It's TJ Shimataro. He is your Gloucester Harbor Master. His office is right here behind our cameras.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff, huh?
Yeah, it is.
What are we doing now, Alana? Oh my God.
Oh,
what do you know?
He's here. Mike DeCoster.
Mike DeCoster, the Executive Director of Maritime Gloucester, joins us.
How you doing, folks?
Turns out you're our anchor man.
There is absolutely nothing left for me to talk about. Let's go.
They covered a lot of ground here.
What else can I add to that? That was a great lineup.
Awesome stuff here. So you're prepared for the weekend? You feel good about where things are?
I'm so excited for the weekend. Are you kidding me? This is, again, weather has been fantastic. We got a lot of great boats coming in. I think everyone is a lot, has a lot on their plate, but boy, are they excited about it. It's going to be really fun.
So we haven't heard anyone talk about the winds on Sunday during the race.
The wind?
Well, yeah.
Yes.
We're going to have some wind.
I am in the prediction game.
Okay.
I will say that Sunday's weather keeps changing a little, and we're looking at really good winds for a race, but might be a little bit of wet weather as well. But you know what? I kind of like it.
Yeah.
It's very authentic.
You're going to get right on a schooner anyway, right?
So, I don't know if Justin mentioned it, but the International Fisherman's Race in 1920 started because the America's Cup decided to cancel because there was 20 knot winds. And legend lore has it that a Gloucester or Nova Scotian fisherman said, 20 knots, that's when we go out.
Yeah.
Right? That's where we start. So, I'm thinking that we're going to have, a good amount of winds, and with a little bit of wet canvas, should have some really fast ships. And we will wait till that morning to set the race course. And once we get the race course all set up, we'll let all the vessels know, not like last night at the Schooner Challenge. And we'll let everyone know, and hopefully we can go around twice this year. It'd be great.
Yeah.
That's great. So are you going to be on a vessel?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll be on the Ardell, Maritime Gloucester's flagship. Dance with the lady brings you. Always a great time. Always an absolutely great time. And, being able to be out on the water, seeing all those other ships, seeing all going right by them,
spectacular.
or them going by us, I should say, either way. It is spectacular. It's one of the best parts of the year. And Gloucester Schooner Festival, a little biased, best thing in the year. Best thing in the year.
It's awesome.
It is.
So, Mike, just to reiterate, so this is a Maritime Gloucester event, the Schooner Festival, right? And all these vessels that are coming in, all these schooners, I think it's at least 19 this week. Right? No one's getting paid for this, right?
We have we actually have 25 vessels.
Oh, 25,
that are coming,
awesome.
19 visiting. We have the local ones too.
Right.
Yes, it is a Gloucester event. It is a Cape Ann event that is hosted by Maritime Gloucester, and we are the sponsors of it every year. We raise the money to get that going. It used to be a chamber event. Now it's Maritime Gloucester takes that on. Have a great group of volunteers who do it, but enough cannot be said about the schooners who take time. A lot of them have their, they have a mooring, a dockage that they pay somewhere else in some other city, and they sell tickets there, and they make money there, and they do what they need to do, and then they leave on the biggest weekend of the year to make the pilgrimage up to Gloucester to make our festival work, because they love the heritage and they want to be part of it. But it's up to us to get out there and support them and make that worth their while, so they come back every year.
Yeah, that's saying something, huh?
And the Columbia coming from Panama City.
Yeah, coming all the way up the coast, and she's been dotting up and down the coast all summer in New York and Maine and everywhere. Right now, she's sitting outside of Salem. And we're looking forward to seeing her coming in this afternoon when we have that Meet the Fleet sail. So
very cool.
Looking forward to that.
Hey, let's talk Maritime Gloucester now. Folks who haven't been before, what can they expect when they come and visit the center here?
If you're coming this weekend, there's a lot to expect.
There's a lot,
right? Because obviously, I'm sure Kelly talked about the Heritage Day and everything that's going on. It's a hubbub of activity. The anchor of the Schooner Festival is here. And any other weekend that you come to, we are Gloucester's working waterfront. So it's America's oldest marine railway. Currently we have Gloucester's newest schooner on the railway, newest addition to the Gloucester fleet, which is the schooner Isabella, built by Harold Burnham, and we're hoping to launch that next week. So that'll be a lot of fun. Actually, probably the week after, now that the P-Town race is on again. So,
all right, nice.
Yeah, we'll take a few days and go down to the P-Town race. But so the marine railway that we have and all of our programming around marine science, our aquarium, Sea Pocket Aquarium, will be open till Columbus Day weekend. And once that is closing up this year, big news that we are moving inside. We're bringing, Gloucester now has an indoor aquarium. So year-round indoor aquarium starts up. We'll have an opening Last week of September, first week of August, we'll be opening up. We're beta testing it with the kids first, because every 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade student in Gloucester comes through us for some STEM programming. So, and then we have the great, schooner gallery and all the sheds and everything on the waterfront to see. It's a real treat to be here. Yeah.
Do you want to emphasize more of like the educational component of Maritime Gloucester?
How can I not emphasize that more? Yes. We are an educational 501c3, so we look at that in a couple different ways. It's about preservation first, right? We want to preserve Gloucester's working waterfront for future generations. That's kind of been the 20-year mission that we have, so that these people here that are coming by have a place to come and visit us and see Gloucester's authentic. Everyone has a mindset of what they think Gloucester is, right? And if you come to Maritime Gloucester, you're going to see that. You get to walk out on this beautiful pier. You get to be right here out on the water. You get to see the historic sheds and buildings, the dockage. Every single one of them has a story, and we try to tell that. We try to interpret it.
And then they can go to the Crow's Nest or Pratty's.
And then they can go to the Crow's Nest and Pratty's and round out that full Gloucester experience. Absolutely. Yeah, after hours.
Yeah.
After hours there, yeah.
So I think it's early in the morning, right, at Pratty's?
Yeah,
sure. Absolutely. I don't.
Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. And then we also now have with this beautiful place that we've decided to preserve and keep for future generations. So now we have to interpret it. So now we have to talk about it. And in 2004, the Gloucester Public Schools made a decision that they didn't have money for elementary school kids to have science, that they'd have to wait till middle school. And we said, nope, not going to happen, not when we're here. So since then, for the last 18, 19 years, every 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade student has come to Maritime Gloucester. And we provide them STEM education, and we do it through a variety of hands-on interactive experiences. For us, it's not about classroom. We do go into their classrooms too. We have about 10 different engagements with them. They come here twice. We go into the classroom, we give them some classroom time, but it's all hands-on, whether they're working under a microscope or dissecting fish or doing a plankton tow or doing water quality testing or going out on the schooner Ardell and doing science at sea. I mean, who doesn't want to be
cool
a 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade student, right?
Yeah, exactly. That is so great.
We've been doing that for 10 years. We're expanding it now, again, year-round with the new Science Center. We've dedicated the whole first floor of our building, and we can't wait to open it up.
Yeah,
that's so
fantastic.
exciting.
That's awesome. And are there new features or components being set up at the museum now?
Oh yeah, we have. We're going to have a series of events that are going to be happening this fall. We are starting a Fall in Love with Maritime Gloucester campaign.
Aww.
Yeah, can't avoid the puns.
Yeah, you're good at that.
So we're going to be doing the Fall in Love with Maritime Gloucester campaign. We're going to announce that this coming week. And we have everything from a couple visiting tall ships that are coming to a new exhibit in the Schooner Gallery. We have the Science Center that's going to be opening up. We're going to be doing Docktoberfest. So we're having an Oktoberfest out here on the dock, which will be great. And then we're going to do
Cape Ann Today show, right?
Yeah. And then we're going to do a Halloween version for the young kids, and we're going to call it Fantasy. And we're going to have that out here. So we have a whole bunch of, and then of course rounding out the fall with Deck the Docks. We have 100 Christmas trees that we ordered last week, and we are going to set aside 40 of those Christmas trees, and we're going to work with the local veterans, and we're going to do a pay it forward. So we want people to, you buy a Christmas tree, and you can also buy a Christmas tree for one of the enlisted men's families if they're currently away. Someone in town can buy them a Christmas tree. We'll deliver it to the house and have that move paid for.
Good for you, man. That's
so
awesome.
It's going to be a good thing this year.
Okay,
We're
so
looking forward to that.
I always cry.
Yeah, right.
Heather, every show.
And well, I won't cry at this show, but you just
you
got
owe me $5.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Mike,
Do you want to cry? Because I got a few. others.
It is easy.
You just did, really. It's done. Yeah.
So we're looking for, that's a really good wrinkle this year, and we're looking forward to getting that list of families and working with the local Veterans Association.
Yeah. How has 2022 been here for you? I mean, we saw tours definitely starting to come back now, which was great.
Yep. 2022 has been fantastic. I mean, we saw the kids come back, which was great. You know, we really had to do some fancy footwork for a year and a half, 2 years with COVID being closed. It's not easy to just flip a switch and turn on an aquarium. We've been having same sort of staffing troubles that everyone else has. We run on volunteers. We need to, otherwise we can't afford to be here. So volunteerism is a wonderful part of what we do, but we need more. That's a pitch. That's a plug for your people out there. If you want to have some fun to do, come and help us out. But you know, we have been packed. In May and June, we had 920 kids come through here for programs, programmatically, not visiting, right? It was a couple thousand when you start talking about visiting. The young families are coming with their kids. Touch tanks are always popular for them, but our on-the-water programs, our summer program came back this year, which was great. We couldn't do it last year, and we had a group of kids that were out on the water and doing 3 days at sea and going to Thatcher's Island and did a circumnavigation and all sorts of fun stuff like this. So a lot of good things for them to do. And of course, our new heritage programming that we're doing and developing more and more, we're really looking forward to how that's coming. We graduated our first captain this year with an apprentice program. So part of the Schooner Festival, we have a scholarship fund through the Schooner Festival, the Russ Smith Scholarship Fund. And what we do is we try to give it to people, kids that want to have a career, or just main focus is to get kids out on the water, right? And if someone's going to Mass Maritime, Maine Maritime, or some sort of maritime academy throughout, they can apply and we give them a scholarship. We make them write a letter. It's not a big ask, and it's a letter, and maybe some contact information. Sometimes that doesn't happen on those letters. Anyway, and then this year, since we didn't have any letters, with this apprenticeship program that we have 9 kids that are learning the skill sets of being on the water. They're working on the Ardell, aboard the Ardell. They're taking apart diesel engines. They're doing all sorts of work with electronics, you name it. They're really learning how to get out on a boat, be safe, and when things don't go right, how to get back on that boat safely, right? And when we get the full program running, our hope is that kids that are between the ages of 16 and 18 who stay with the program, we will give them enough time to have sea time to get their captain's license. And once they get enough that they can take their test, and if they pass, we pay for the test. And that all goes through the Schooner Festival scholarship fund. It's nice.
That's
very
really
cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Did I get you again?
Yes, you did. Yeah, I do need a tissue.
So there's a little kid that visited the other day.
Oh, yeah.
No, you did get me. Really, I was
Mike,
right there with that.
If people want to learn more about Maritime Gloucester, how to think about doing that, and what are the hours like as we head towards summer into fall?
Absolutely. Maritime Gloucester is currently open from 10 to 4 every day of the week. Some nights we were open till Tuesdays and Thursdays we were open to 7. We had our Food Truck Tuesdays, which was a wild success. Every Tuesday night, food truck. But this year we are still setting our fall schedule. We actually have the kids that are coming, the amount of programming that we're doing, the little bit of lack of staffing and volunteers, we're going to have to curtail it a little bit. So check our website, maritimegloucester.org. You definitely want to check on there, and we keep that really up to date. You can learn more about our programs. You can definitely find out what the hours are, and we encourage you to come. It's still the best deal in town.
It is.
After Schooner Festival.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, enjoy your weekend, man.
Thank
We know
you.
how much
Have a
work
great one.
goes into this. We really appreciate your time and your hospitality having us here.
Absolutely.
We'd love to be back.
Absolutely, come on back.
just love it.
And actually, last pitch I have to say,
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy my weekend, but I want to make sure that everyone in Gloucester gets out and enjoys their weekend. We work very hard all year long to put this on for you. So come and do it. All right?
Well said.
Great.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Hey,
well
thanks for your
said.
time, bud.
Thanks so
We'll
much.
see you
Thank
soon.
you so
All right.
much,
Talk to
and
you soon.
congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you.
inside
Yeah.
Maritime Gloucester next time we do one of these shows
Yeah, we're
would be
doing that.
awesome
There's
as
so
well.
many events that we could be here for, which he just listed,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
from Fall in Love to the Veterans Christmas trees.
Yeah. Are you going to be out and about this weekend?
I am, yeah.
I
I am
know
going to
you'll be
be
here for
over there watching the schooners.
Oh, you are really?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, nice.
Actually, I'm making a little stop in Helen Garland's front yard.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be here for
Thinking of her.
Maritime Heritage Day too, most of tomorrow. I'm sure I'll be by the food trucks for half of it.
Nice.
But yeah, it's going to be great stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. What a show. Hey, that was a fun one, getting back
Oh,
out here again.
Yeah, it was really nice to be here.
Yeah.
and have all these sailboats. As we're sitting here, we can be watching them. We have been watching them go by.
What a day and what a weekend, folks. We hope you have a chance to come down to Gloucester to enjoy the 38th Gloucester Schooner Festival. It's happening all weekend long. The vessels are here already. You can come and enjoy them all along Gloucester's working waterfront. We want to thank our guests, Daisy Nell and Mike Costello, Justin Dimitri, Kelly Oprus, Heath Ellis, TJ Shimataro, Harold Burnham, and Mike DeCosta. We have to thank our crew as well, right?
Our crew is great.
On camera, we had Mike Dennis and Joan Boyvin. Our floor manager is Alana Horn. Our production manager, Tyler Horenzen. Technical director, Matt McMakin. Digital director, Matt Moore. Operations coordinator, Emily Games. And our executive director, Eric Archer. Heather, this is great being with you again.
I know. It's wonderful, Kory.
Don't know when the next show is going to be, but we'll keep you posted here at 1623 Studios. So for all of us here at 1623, thanks. Have a fun, safe, and happy holiday weekend. And we will see you soon on Cape Ann Today.